immediately tomorrow and then just start this and then get this done before school, then that would be good because that would provide both of us an incentive to like get it done as quick as possible. That way our day is entirely consumed with school. But then also it would provide an incentive to do this because it's like this is actively going to make school easier. This is actively going to help my school for the day. So this isn't a waste of time. This is actually a good spending of my time, and it's an incentive to get it done faster. Like that would be perfect. That makes perfect sense. I mean, I guess, do you wake up before 2? Should we just wake up and then do it before 2, I guess?
Um,
Or you're saying you get home at 2, so you're leaving the house at fucking like 12 or something. Jesus.
yeah.
Why did you do that to yourself? Are you enjoying that?
Well, for that class, no, but for world religions, yeah, and I wish I had like the philosophy class in person.
Yeah, I had the philosophy class in person, and it's convinced me to never take another in-person class again.
Well, are the people like talking? Are they asking a lot of questions? Like, is there discussion, converse going on?
Of course not. What kind of fucking retarded
Well, like
question
in
is
my
that?
world religions class, there was like, and I liked that aspect. The teacher was, she's good enough. She's nice, good at her job, doing the best she can. The people ask interesting enough questions. There's interesting characters in the class. Uh, it's not perfect. It's not like a bunch of philosophers in there, but it's interesting to be there. And I wish I had the philosophy class like that, but I've got English class, and I do not like that teacher. I will tell you what.
You betcha. Um, like, are you gonna do more online classes next time? Because like, I just don't even understand like what you're. It's just like, it's like self-flagellation from my perspective. It's literally just self-torture. And like you said, if like the spirituality class is like that, then it's like sure, maybe that class is actually worth it, and that class is beyond worth it. But it's like in general, it's like if there isn't some aspect like that that makes it abnormally worth it, then why on earth would you ever do that to yourself? It's like, to me, it's just like it'll destroy the whole day. It's like if I have to spend 30 minutes getting ready and then 30 minutes getting home and then 2 hours there, then it's like, well, say goodbye to doing anything useful that day.
Yeah. Well, one of the places is like downtown, and me and Ryan walk downtown and stuff, and go to the pier and stuff. So it has that benefit.
Yeah, I can see that. But like, I guess, is that worth attending the class when you could just do that on its own? Like, it provides you an excuse to do that more often. I get that. But it's like, I don't know. I do not know about that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it just depends on the classes. Like it depends. Like, I mean, if I have like statistics class or math class or whatever, like there's no reason to do that in person.
Yeah. Anyways, so like, should we wake up early? Do you wake up early? Are you gonna sleep until noon tomorrow when you have classes, or are you gonna wake up at 9? And should we just try and wipe it out the 3 hours before you leave for classes?
Um, that would be interesting. I mean, I'm open to anything. I mean, I can try that. Wake up at like um 10. Start at 10, maybe.
What time do you have to leave though? If you start at 10
I'd leave at
and you have
12.
to leave at 12, but does that like what time are you gonna start getting ready? Like
Well, getting ready is
like
clothes on and backpack, and that's nothing.
okay, that seems to make sense to me. That way at least it's like 2 hours should be enough where even if we don't get the super prompt done, we get it at least done enough for me to test it on that assignment while you're at school.
Uh-huh.
Also, is there potential for you to like us to continue messaging each other about the super prompt? Like in other words, when I'm in my psychology class, I literally am playing fucking Horizon Chase Turbo on my phone. Um, are your classes like that, or do you have like a no phone policy or whatever?
Um, uh, there, yeah. I mean, I would be able to text you back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not saying we call in the middle of the class. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Where it's like the first 2 hours should be enough for us to both understand what we need to understand, so that after that we can just message each other in Discord and be like, "Hey, check this out," and the other person be like, "Huh, maybe try this with that." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, I won't be able to like I also use that time to do like schoolwork. Um, cause like
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is just like more important than schoolwork on the very virtue of it like being the key to all future schoolwork. It's like this
well, at least for
is.
me, I don't really have to do these random like essay things that you keep on talking about. Like this won't necessarily help me that much.
I don't understand. I don't understand what you do.
I mean, like world religions class, like it's in psychology and philosophy. It's mostly just quizzes and like it's not necessarily like essays and stuff. Like every now and then I'll
Quizzes?
write an essay. Like one essay was about the essay that English had me write. Like I wanted to write that because I thought the painting that I chose was awesome, and I actually saw a symbol about it, and I wanted to express that myself. I didn't want a robot to do that for me. Um,
Well, I don't. I think that's retarded because, like, while I agree that the prompt being good is a massive difference, I would have still had the robot help me, not on the metric of cheating, on a metric of like, even if I'm trying to calculate the radius of a black hole, I'm going to use a calculator because using calculator is not cheating. It's just going to increase the efficiency of my ability to calculate the radius of a black hole.
yeah, I just I just knew the writing was so good that like there's nothing the robot could possibly do to improve it, at least grade wise, and at
Yeah,
least for my
I
content with it.
I just couldn't disagree more. It's like the rough draft. You're going to spend what time? You just wasted time doing the rough draft. When it's like anything that you perfected could have just been put on top of the robot's rough draft in less time. There's just no way it couldn't have been. There's no way around that. There's no even like Steelman for the other side.
Well, I think that
There's
there
no
is a
way you.
skill to writing and the ability to express yourself in words without having to rely on something else to do it for you. I think that has a mental skill that has benefit. Yeah.
No, I think that's actually retarded to say in every capacity. I think that's just as equally as retarded as saying that there's an innate skill in doing math without a calculator. It's like, is there? Sure, that's a skill. Is there a skill in being able to make my own bread? Sure, but if I
Well, I
can
mean, it
buy that
literally, I mean,
bread for
like to a mathematical philosopher has the ability to go into mental states that the average person does not. So yes, that is labelly different. Yes.
yeah, okay, on one hand, what you're saying is true. On the other hand, the states in which that mathematician can go into can be explained in words. Like, in other words, you don't need to understand uh gigageometry to be able to conceive of the thought texture of Gödel's incompleteness theorem. You don't need to actually be able to do gigafuck equations to be able to understand that in the fourth dimension you can have a Klein bottle. Like all of the states of mind that are accessible to a good mathematician are also accessible to anyone who can use the fucking English language. And by the same metric, all of the mind states that are accessible to someone who is quote unquote capable of writing in a creative way or whatever the fuck the retarded language you use was, that person is simultaneously capable of achieving those same mindsets and achieving those same results by just using the utility of a robot to achieve more time for their perfection.
But the
This
ability
person who
to
is
have
hypothetically
a blank page and have to create word by word each word to create an entire sentence and to have that
is
structure it.
not a useful skill on its own metric. There,
But that the
what you
idea that
could
that
do
does
it.
not build your mind and your psyche to be able to with like have higher amounts of information to categorize information in better ways and to think better. That writing literally makes you think better. Like having
It doesn't.
telling I well
Okay, well, no, I suppose this is what I'm saying. It's not that it doesn't. I understand what you're saying. It's just it literally. This is the best. This is the number one peak example of what you're saying and why it's wrong. The argument that you're saying right now is the audiobooks are worse than books because reading books actually stimulates your mind in a different way. It's like no, actually, the point of a book is not the mind state of reading. The point of a book is the information contained within the book. So if you read a book about philosophy, about Nietzsche's Will to Power, and at the end of that book about will to power, you understand the concept of Nietzsche's Will to Power, it doesn't matter whether you read that on a fucking physical textbook or a audiobook. The point is the information that is being transferred. In the same way, whenever you write a good paper, the skills which you gain from writing a good paper are the ability to transfer your message into language. That message is still being transferred into language, whether or not you use a robot to skip the initial rough draft. The skill which you acquire from writing that rough draft is not actually a beneficial skill in any other facet of life. The
But like,
skill
why
which
would
is
I
acquired
assume
from
it does
writing,
that? Why would I assume it writes the rough draft better than me when I know that if I start from it from scratch, I will inevitably end up with a
it's
better
not that
essay?
it writes. You won't. It's not that it writes the rough draft better than you. It's that the rough draft is the calculator part. There's nothing to be gained from a rough draft because a rough draft is going to be consistent across all essays. In other words, your teacher for a grade expects you to start your every single essay with a thesis statement. They expect you to end every single essay with a conclusion. They expect you to follow these specific grammar rules, these specific three body paragraphs, opening, conclusion. They expect you to follow these rules from scratch every single time. So by you saying, "Well, I'm writing it, I'm going to spend my time writing it," you're not gaining anything other than you're doing the manual labor that could just be done for you. There's absolutely nothing gained unless you want to make the argument of, well, actually, because it's technically more difficult, I'm benefiting from the stress. Like just complete and total boomer retard arguments like that.
Yeah. I get the only way to solve this would be like what I'm looking at right now, which would be like studies showing that actually writing has some health benefit to you. And
Not, yep, but that's never. I never said that writing doesn't have a health benefit to you. What I said specifically was that all of the benefits that are conferred by successful writing are within the confines of successfully transmitting a message into language, and that all of the
but
parts of
clicking a
your
few
brain.
buttons and telling and doing it with ChatGPT is different than your mind going from word to word to
You're
word.
not listening to what I'm saying. You're speaking to a straw man that doesn't exist. You're speaking to a figment of your imagination. What I said is not that you write your entire essay using ChatGPT, because that's never what you're able to do. That's never what I've ever done, and that's never what either of us will ever do. Because what you do is that you have the ChatGPT generate the perfect rough draft. You have the ChatGPT generate the perfect what?
I did
Did you
nothing.
say something or was that an echo? Oh, it
Like
must have been myself
there was a
echoing back.
noise.
Oh, weird. Anyways, you have ChatGPT generate the patterns that are necessary within every single assignment. You have ChatGPT basically, whenever you write an essay for school. Oh Jesus, I almost throw up. If what I'm typically saying, right? If what I would typically say to you is, um, if what I would typically say to you, I'm trying to think of the right example here. I know that there's an example for this, but none of them are hitting me. But it's like the libtardation of an assignment. Like if I'm saying something to you, then I'm going to say it bluntly. I'm going to be like, sure, there may be a difference in races, but that doesn't mean that that any particular race is inferior, because you can isolate those genetic traits to people within any race, right? Like that may be the blunt argument that I provide to you. But if I'm going to write that for school, then there's going to be a school version of that where I'm not going to be able to give the blunt version. I'm going to have to give the libtarded version, where I'm going to have to be like, no, of course there could never be a genetic difference between people. That would be bad, right? Like there's like an actual like formulaic retardation that needs to be applied to an assignment, and that's what ChatGPT can do.
Okay, I can I
ChatGPT,
okay. I think I have to agree with you overall. I just so happened to have been very biased because the first writing assignment given to me was something that I just happened to find extremely interesting, and that like
I,
by
I
doing that
I
it would
still
have.
don't agree with the
Well,
premise
yeah,
that
well, hold on. I
doing
agree with all
things
every
you
other
enjoy would have
assignment
to be
like
better.
that should be done. It's just that that one it was like it would have wasted my time to ask it. Like I enjoyed just writing. Like I didn't want to do that. Like it's
I
like
still disagree.
like in the same way you
It,
want like you just naturally have the ability to write a comment on someone on Instagram and insult them and it arguably describe that, right? But like it just happens. It just flows. There's no need to stop and go to another page and ask ChatGPT about how to improve this or that. It's like it's already there. Like that's just how I
It's not
felt in that
you're
moment.
you're like missing something or like something that I don't even think you're missing. It's like some like actual like intentional retardation or something you're doing. It's like what I'm you don't need like in other words, I see what you're saying that you have assignments that are more significantly more engaging to the point where you want ChatGPT to do significantly less work because your opinions are entirely unique. And because your opinions are entirely unique and there's so much of your opinions that you want expressed, you don't need ChatGPT to do that much legwork because you want it to be mostly yours. I understand that. But then you're coming at me and then you're giving this the straw man of like, but I just didn't need ChatGPT to edit what I was saying. Okay, well that's fine. You don't need ChatGPT to edit what you were saying. What I'm saying is that even if you don't want most of it to be typed by ChatGPT, there's no way to avoid the fact that there is the initial patterns of an essay that are always going to be you're always going to save time doing them. There's like and I guess my bigger point is that if you enjoy typing those platitudes, if you enjoyed typing the like shitty thesis statement, which you're already going to have to type the more in-depth version in your third body paragraph, your second body paragraph, or whatever. If you enjoy typing the like mundane, retarded version of that, the slopified version of that for school, because you have to type it twice just to have a successfully graded assignment, then you may be retarded. Like it's like literally there are parts of an essay that you have to do for every single essay ever in school that are always going to be pointless and they're only there for the grade. They're only there for the grade. They're
It's
not there to
but like the
express
intro and the conclusion that like takes like 3 minutes in total to write. It's like the body paragraphs that like yeah, maybe I waste
it's
3 minutes.
there are parts of that all throughout the thing. There are so many pieces of an essay for school that are pieces that are useless and that would never be there if it wasn't for school. There are so many pieces that are entirely arbitrary, that are a waste of time to type, and that there's no way you could possibly put your own creative flair on them because the whole point of them fucking being there is to remove creative flair. The whole point of them being there is to act as a school uniform and to dress your essay up as though it was everyone else's. There's no way that you could enjoy writing them because to me, the enjoyment comes from making my mind, my unique thoughts available in a word form. And there's no way to make these parts unique. There's no way to do it because by their very nature, the point of them is to not be unique. The point of them is their consistency across everyone's essay. So you can't have enjoyed typing them. Like you may be retarded enough to like enjoy the like monotony, I guess, but like there's no way you were creative with it because you can't be.
Well, what does that mean? Like, I found a painting, right? I found artistic elements to it that were not a part of the actual painting. It's something that I found to it, and then I wrote
Yep,
the
but
entire
then you
thing.
had to have typed words about that painting that were not about the meaning the painting of the painting to you. There were parts of that essay where you would have necessarily said the same thing twice or three times when you could have just said it once and bluntly got the point across. But instead, you had to put it into school slop jargon and you
Can
had to
you give
say
an
in your
example?
like for instance the opening and conclusion you and this isn't the only version but like for instance in your opening you might have had to say something like for instance to me I like the prompt too of the painting and what I would have done like I've said before was I would have done the Wotan or whatever his name is the god that Hitler had a painting of himself done for and the god that like Hitler somehow matched like perfectly like it was insane all the connections between Hitler and Wotan and um that's an interesting painting. That's something I would have liked to have written about. And so I wouldn't have asked ChatGPT to do very much of the work. I would have just had ChatGPT do for instance, like you were saying, for as far as an example goes. So like, if in the opening I would have had to have gone, in my opinion, Wotan is a metaphor for Hitler because of their destructive nature or whatever, like platitudinal slop fest fucking retardation I needed to do for school. Like that shit that is literally just like I think this is this because it expresses this. Due to the vivid detail used in this part of the painting, I think that the actual lesson in the painting is this metaphor. I think that the meaning displayed by the artist's intentions here are very clear that they express this. The fucking slop words, the slop shit that means nothing, the actual meaningless platitudes that are only there for a grade, like yet again. So you say that in the intro, and then in your third body paragraph, now you say the actual version of that. So you've now, for some reason, wasted your own goddamn life typing out the words that you know you're actually going to elaborate meaningfully on later. So it's like if I was in a conversation with you and I went, I think that the meaning that the that Ian M. Banks was trying to express with the ending of his novel was that life is actually random, and that the point of life is that there is no point at all. And then later in my third body paragraph, then I actually explain to you my actual opinion, which is that the beauty and the way that he's capable of killing off his main characters expresses the lackadaisical nature of reality, or the sort of harsh nature of reality, where you can be a good guy and you can have your um principles fully fleshed out and you can be correct, but that doesn't mean that you are going to win, and that that is an important lesson to be learned from reality. So like, do you see what I'm saying? Where like the slop school version I had to say in my intro was that I think that the way that Banks used this ending expresses the idea that perhaps life is maybe cruel, like the stupid gay platitudes. And then later, that's definitely useless because I'm actually going to expand on that idea in the point of it being there in the first place. There's no point for the intro because the whole point in the intro is just to be slop for your later third body paragraph. It's like it's pure school slop. There's no point. There's no meaning. There's no reason you'd ever talk like that to an actual real human in real life because it's retarded. And ChatGPT can just get rid of the wasted time doing that. And now you can come back with, but it only takes 3 minutes. Well, that's 3 minutes of your life down the drain that could have been done by ChatGPT, and it isn't only 3 minutes because that isn't the only example of the slop that you need to put in for a grade.
I mean, yes. Again, I agree with you majority of the time. I just again,
I'm saying
I even pulled up
100% of
this
the time.
essay, and I recall this particular introduction, and I remember like you can write I write an introduction that like can be fun and entertaining and like hooks the reader, and like that's a part of it is hooking the reader and like, oh, I want to read the entire thing because of what you've just teased to me. Like if you do that well, then that's a good part of writing. Um, like
Nope. Nope.
yes,
First of all, no. Nope. Nope. First of all, no, it's
in
not. It's a bad part of
articles
writing. And
when you pull up articles like and when you watch YouTube videos like people will talk about, hey, here's what's coming up, here's what I'm about to tell you. I'm not telling you at all
and
because I'm telling you it
and
later.
and 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 if I clicked on a video and they used the school version of a thesis statement, then what
Right,
I'm
you know,
going
and
to do
if you
is I'm going
write
to
it like that, if you write it blandly, which it's hard to not to do, then yes, I agree. But like when you like I'm
no,
this
no,
one
no.
I
It's not about when you write it blandly. It's about to write a thesis statement, you need to adhere to a particular structure. If I'm reading a news article, you're right. They do typically adhere to the concept of a thesis statement, which is some vague, shitty platitude which tells me nothing, that doesn't get me hooked. What it actually does is it pisses me the fuck off because I just wasted my time reading some vague piece of shit sentence that is actually only going to be expanded upon in the detail, which I clicked on the fucking article for in the first place 3 paragraphs later. How about you shut the fuck up with your introduction statement and you get into the fucking point of the article, or you give me an actual goddamn summary? How about that? How about instead of wasting my fucking time with the statement that is just the useless version of the later paragraph, how about you actually summarize the paragraph in a meaningful way? So instead of reading halfway through your fucking article or getting me
but
hooked so that
summarize
I
which
keep
paragraph. You
reading
have
through
to
your
choose
sloppy
which one
article.
to start with. What if you have multiple ideas and the intro is supposed to tease the multiple ideas and you can't summarize multiple ideas all at once?
Well, you're already just you're just like you're just in la la land because you can't summarize multiple ideas in a thesis statement. That's not the point of a thesis statement. Literally, the point of a thesis
It's supposed to
statement is that
tease the
you
ideas. It's
summarize.
supposed to say, here's what I'm trying to say and here's the evidence for
No,
it.
it's not. It's not supposed to tease the ideas. It's supposed to tease the main idea. If you write a thesis statement and you go and you tease all of the ideas that are coming in the following paragraph, then you're going to get a bad grade because that's
No,
literally
no, that's a
you're
part of it.
missing.
Like, no, but demonstrating
Nope.
here is what I'm about to write about. That is a part of a good essay. That's a part of the introduction.
No, no, it's not.
I
Nope. If I
took an
look up
AP
examples of
English language class where that is taught. Like, it's a college level course.
no,
It's much
so if I
higher
look
level than
up
what I'm doing right now.
examples,
And
so if
it
I
like
look up examples, so if I look up examples of good thesis statements, you think I'm going to get, you think I'm going to get the entire article summarized in thesis
not the
statement?
end. It's not a summary. Again, it's you bring up the basic. You paragraph one,
Summary
or
of the
body
main
paragraph one,
idea,
two,
not
and three are
the
about
main
each
idea.
individual separate ideas, right? Those separate ideas can be summarized very vaguely and briefly, and then you bring that up in the introduction as a tease to what's about to come.
Nope, it can't be multiple things. Example of a perfect thesis statement.
Okay, so like I had to
Um,
write two body paragraphs. One was about how one was about foreground, and the other one was about lighting, right? And so my thesis statement was about this story, how foreground and lighting told the story that I saw in it. So I used both ideas of the body paragraphs, both overall meanings of them, and I combined that into the thesis statement. because my
Okay,
thesis statement is
so
about
in
those
other
body
words,
paragraphs.
you just agreed with me, you fucking numbskull. So what you just said is that you condensed both body paragraphs into one idea. You didn't list it as multiple ideas, because if you list multiple ideas in your thesis statement, it's not a thesis statement. So you agreed with me just now. But continue.
I guess, like,
So in other words,
what would be even the separation? Like,
like,
yeah, there are multiple ideas, but they're also in one sentence.
no, no, it's one idea. You expressed one idea. So for instance, if you were to express what you just said as two ideas, what you would say is your thesis statement, your incorrect thesis statement would now be two different, like, this is like basic. This is like, to me, in my mind, this is like retardedly simple. It's like you would express as two ideas. So like your thesis statement would be two different ideas, but you didn't express as two different ideas. You expressed as one idea. So like if I
But
had
I'm
three
using
different
2
body
points of
paragraphs.
evidence for that one idea, and what I'm writing about is about those 2 different points.
Yeah, but you're expressing one idea in your thesis statement, and if you were to express multiple ideas in your thesis statement, it wouldn't be a thesis statement, which is what
Okay,
I was
sure,
saying from the
yes.
beginning. Oh, okay. Well, that's all I was saying from the beginning. And the point of that, the reason I was saying that is that if it can only be one thing, if you could only have one thing in your thesis statement, if your thesis statement has to be one idea, then you can't get creative with it, because it has to be just a distilled summary of everything that you're going to actually go in depth in later.
So,
So,
like,
in other
yes,
words,
in that
no.
one sentence, it is a basic summary. Yes, you have to use just the points of evidence, and then what is it talking about? And yeah, it is kind of bland, but like with a good enough writing, it
It's
doesn't
not
have to be.
kind
But
of
still,
bland.
it's one
It,
sentence.
nope, it's not. Okay, give me one example of one that's not bland. Because whenever you show me yours for whatever the fuck you enjoy typing, I guarantee goddamn to you that I can make ChatGPT say the exact same fucking thing. Because there's no way you made it unique. You couldn't have. You literally couldn't have. We're literally talking about something that can't be unique. What you put in had to have matched something that I could get ChatGPT to say directly, because it's literally the fucking point of a thesis statement. It's the point is to be uniform. So ChatGPT has to, by that metric,
But
be
again,
able
but
to
before
develop.
I even go to that sentence, I already have the idea for the next sentence I'm already writing. So the idea to go to another tab and then ask it, "Hey, write the thesis statement for me," would be a waste of my time.
No, what you do instead is like, okay, this is we've wasted more time having this argument than it is really even worth. But I do just truly, I do view just what you're saying is so fundamentally retarded that it's almost worth having this argument. But I don't think we're gonna have any real resolution. I think it's just like a linguistic understanding or something. Like you think I mean that like you have to like do the whole thing in ChatGPT, but when it's like no matter what you're saying, it will never not be true that you're going to be able to achieve a deeper um customizability. You're going to be able to more deeply express your own message if you, instead of like spending the time perfecting every single word by typing it yourself, if you instead get all of the basic shit out of the way and then you perfect it. So in other words, I'm not saying that you need to leave most of your article typed entirely by ChatGPT. If ChatGPT generates a thesis statement and then you think to yourself, well, I think I can make this thesis statement slightly better and slightly more apt to the thing I'm trying to express, then that's fine. You should change it. I'm not saying that ChatGPT should be the end all be all. I'm not saying that that has to be your final draft. But what I am saying is that there's no way in any world that whatever your final draft ended up being couldn't have just been achieved faster through ChatGPT. Like word for word, verbatim, what you achieved in the end, there's no way that you couldn't have achieved that exact same thing faster by just using ChatGPT, word for word. It's not possible.
To get it as good, I think I would need to go through
Not
different
as
multiple
good.
iterations. So that would take more time.
No, no, you don't. You no, like okay. How do I explain this simply? It's like that literally can't be true, because you're going to have all the time that you spent typing all of the platitudinal shit that can't be creative. You now have that as free time that you can just take one rough draft. So, like, in other words, if I took the initial rough draft that we have in ChatGPT here, if I just took the initial use r/non-dualism, and then like you were saying, okay, well now there's a ton of things here that aren't quite what I want them to be, and I want to express my personal understanding of non-dualism, because like r/non-dualism can't be exactly the same as my concept of non-dualism, right? Because I've got a personal understanding of non-dualism. And so what you're saying is that, well, ChatGPT has now given you a bland version of it. And what I like doing, the point of writing, the part of writing in which your brain is exercised, the point in which, like what you're saying, the studies reflect that your brain can potentially attain benefits, that point, the whole thing that you're actually talking about isn't writing. The thing that you're talking about is creatively expressing your ideas. And if you just took the shitty Reddit version that ChatGPT is going to spit out to you, and then you change the shitty Reddit version into your version, that will always obviously take less time than just doing it yourself, because literally it's like I'm trying to think of like a physical example of this. It's like I guess the example is like, obviously it's going to take less time to take chocolate chip cookie dough and then turn that into like a caramel turtle praline cookie, because you fucking have the cookie dough. And it's like what you're saying to me right now is you're saying, no, actually, you can make it better if you use the exact same ingredients that are in the store-bought cookie dough, but you do it yourself. And it's like, no, actually, idiot, no, you can't, because you're using the same ingredients. If what you're saying to me was that, well, actually, you can make your own chocolate chips from home that taste better, well, then that would make sense. But you can't be saying that, because you're literally saying to me, no, you're right. You do use the same formula. You literally use the same
But
ingredients in the
like the
chocolate chip.
ability to write it in a narrative way that sounds good, that sounds reasonable, that connects each sentence to the other sentence, and they flows in a
But
coherent
you can
way
edit
that
the
you're satisfied with.
ChatGPT version to do that. You can just perfect the ChatGPT version in less time than it would take you to do what you're saying, to fully write that out yourself. You can just take the Reddit non-duality version of that, the wrong version, the incorrect Reddit version, and then you can change the Reddit version into your version faster because of the cookie dough example. Even if the cookie dough isn't perfect and you want to add caramel and you want to add pralines and you want to add fucking caramel sauce and white macadamia chocolate chips and all of these creative things, even if you want to perfect the cookie, having the cookie dough is going to speed up the process. Like, obviously, like, so obviously, clearly. Like, there's not even like a debate in my mind. It's not even like there's no even like counter argument to me. It's so obvious. It's so obvious.
It's just that I know that for this intro, I did it in one go, one try. It was perfect. I liked what it was. The idea that I would have had to have alternatively tried to go for it to create something and then to be like, all right, I'm not satisfied with that. I wanted to do it again and I want it to flow better. And like the idea that it would do that in a way that I was perfectly satisfied with. I don't
Okay,
know.
so
Like
Trevor,
to be as good as the way I did it
in your
in
mind,
one go.
when you just said that, were you imagining taking multiple iterations of ChatGPT? Is that what you imagined in your head just now? Did you imagine the difference was in one that you sat down typing the whole time, and in the other you used 7 different iterations of ChatGPT until you finally got a perfect one? Is that what you imagined in your head?
It's some way of modifying the original ChatGPT model to
That's
get it to
wrong.
where I
That's
want.
wrong.
Yes.
That's wrong. Because that's wrong. Because now instead, imagine one world. There's 2 worlds here. There's only 2 worlds. Imagine one world where you type it all from scratch. And now imagine another world. So let's say the essay is about the Wotan painting, right? Let's imagine one world where you take the Wotan and Hitler painting and you type completely and totally from scratch your own ideas. And then you imagine another world where you just tell ChatGPT one time, one prompt. You literally just spend 5 seconds typing out the words, give me an essay about the nature of the Wotan painting and Hitler. That's it. That's the only prompt that you ever put in. And now you compare the time spent in the world where you did it from scratch and the time spent in the world where you spent typing in the 5 fucking words for the one
But then
ChatGPT prompt.
why are we assuming that that's good? Why were we assuming that the intro is a good intro? That's written well.
Because it can be complete and total dog shit. It can miss the point entirely, and it will still take you less time to edit that into the version that you currently have than it would to type that
But
from scratch. Because
what if I would have to edit
but
every single sentence?
there's no way you would need to do that. There's no world where that happens. There's no world where you give it a prompt and it just gets the prompt wrong. That's never happened to me.
Yeah. I guess like if like for example, my intro, like because the painting is about lightning and war, I included lightning and war elements in describing it. So like I would have to try and go into detail, like perfectly try and create the intro to be tying it
No,
into
no, no,
those
no, no, no,
concepts.
no, 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 you're already imagining it wrong. You just there, you exposed the point that you're imagining incorrectly. You wouldn't do that. You would just take the rough draft that ChatGPT generated. So now let's say ChatGPT generates a prompt that says, instead of saying thunder and lightning, it says, or thunder or lightning and war, or whatever you said, instead of saying lightning and war, it says, I don't know, thunder and carnage. And you go, I don't like those words. Okay. Then what you do is, instead of then rewriting another prompt that says, ChatGPT, rewrite this, but use the words lightning and war. No, don't do that. Literally just take the words thunder and carnage that are already there and then swap them out for lightning and war. And now you've definitely saved time, because all, instead of having to type out the words, in this essay, you think the lightning and thunder expresses this particular idea in this particular page using these concepts, using illusory language and vivid thought textures. This thing exacerbates this particular idea. Instead of using all the shit slop fucking useless words that don't actually mean anything and are only there for a grade, instead of having to type any of those, your whole thing. So, like what you said, the idea that you wanted to express, right? Lightning and war. Well, guess what? You take all the school shit, the school slop, the formulaic waste of time, fuckhead bullshit, and then you just put in the words lightning and war. So now you've definitely saved time. You see, you have taken the cookie dough. You've taken the school slop frame. You've taken the mold, which every teacher is going to make your creative ideas fit within. And now ChatGPT is giving you the mold. And now all you have to do is you have to put in your own ingredients. So what you liked, your version of the caramel, your version of the macadamia nuts, your version of the white chocolate chips is lightning and war, okay? And now ChatGPT is going to give you the cookie dough. It's going to give you the chocolate chips and the yeast and the everything else which goes in the oven. Now all you have to do is, instead of making that cookie dough from scratch and the chocolate chips from scratch, all you have to do is put in the white chocolate chips and the caramel. That's it. Your job's so easy. You just put in the words lightning and war. That's it on the rough draft. You've definitely saved time. There's no way you didn't save time. If you did, you did something wrong.
Yeah. That's assuming that's the only edit you'd have to make. I really wish I had.
There's
I
no way.
really
Maybe
wish
the only
this
edit
was
you have to
a
make.
worse prompted essay, and that I was not as satisfied with this as I was. I do have to go to sleep soon.
Yeah, I know. Me too. And yeah, fuck. So what? Call it 10 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um. God, it's so annoying. My B key is remapped to enter, so it just keeps fucking entering every time I try and make it say it. Write an essay about the relationship between Wotan and Hitler. I just want to see what it does. And then by 12:25, hang up. If I'm not done talking by 12:25, just hang up the phone in the middle of me speaking. Okay, well, it doesn't want to talk about Hitler. Fucking idiot. Write an essay about, what was your art piece? I'll just use it as an example. Let's just literally see what it says so you can criticize
Thor's
it.
fight with the giants.
Write an essay about the art piece which displays Thor's fight with the giants.
It's called Thor's fight with the giants.
Okay, and now read me what your first like 3 sentences are that you thought were good.
Like a bolt of lightning, Martin Esco Wind struck the world in 1872 with his painting Thor's Fight with the Giants. The painting displays the heat of a battlefield raging like a storm, with bodies falling as Thor rides through the battle in his chariot. Lightning surges above him with his hammer raised to the sky as he holds down the neck of an enemy, readying his swing. The painting tells a story through foreground and lightning, showcasing the dynamic of good and evil, and how one who fights for light must know the dark if he truly seeks for the good to prevail.
There's no way that you wouldn't have saved time by just taking one of these. So to me, it seems like almost the second paragraph actually is more close to what you ended up going with. But the first paragraph, you could change it to it as well, and you would also save time. So the first paragraph is, art has long been a medium through which myth and legend are brought to life, capturing the imagination and emotions of viewers. One such captivating theme is the Norse mythological narrative of Thor's epic battle with the giants. In numerous art pieces, this clash between the god of thunder and the formidable giants is depicted, creating a rich tapestry of visual storytelling. This essay delves into the significance of these art pieces that portray Thor's heroic confrontation with the giants, highlighting their role in preserving Norse mythology and inspiring a sense of wonder. Like, there's no way you wouldn't have saved time by just taking. So now read your sentence again.
The specific part is the like the simplicity of it. The first one simply explains what the painting is and who wrote it. The other sentences are a summary of visually what it is, and the fourth one is my thesis. It's not anything else. What ChatGPT is going to go in tangents about unrelated stuff, but all I needed were those very simple concepts, and that's all I wrote about. And so to get it to understand that, I feel like would take time, which I'm not saying is impossible, but it feels like it would take more time than
now your disagreement is completely different than the one you had earlier. This is just like you're not even wrong now. Now it's just like that's just like autistic levels of artistic control, I think. Like I don't know. I guess now you're at a point where it's like this isn't even incorrect. This is just a subjective level of like who cares? Like the level of like what you're saying of like these three sentences perfectly convey it shortly. It's like
which is the least amount of
I
information as possible.
yeah, I don't know, man. It's a school assignment. Your goal isn't
But isn't
to
that the idea,
portray
is to do the least amount of information as possible?
No, maybe if it was for a YouTube video. The goal with school is to get it done in the quickest amount of time with the least amount of effort. That's the goal of school.
Yeah. And I agree for
Like I said,
most of the time, that is the philosophy. But when prompted with something that I would want to do outside of school, I do not mind
yeah,
spending time on it.
but like I said, this is where I don't even just like this is I don't even think you're wrong. I think this is just a level of like I just don't care that much. Like
Yeah, I
literally, it's
totally
not
agree.
even,
And if I had to write, like, I know I have essays coming up about like science and stuff, and I'm not gonna be thrilled about that.
yeah. You betcha. Yeah. I mean, but it's like beyond that. I guess it really is just like to me. I guess this is what it comes down to. The time that you spent enjoying writing that essay would have been better spent enjoying writing a video. So even if that prompt was enjoyable, and I have definitely had prompts that are significantly more enjoyable than other prompts, and I do spend more time on those prompts because I respect them. Even on those, I don't think that the 5 minutes you spent converting it into like the most simple possible like version of its sentences, I don't think that's more worth it than spending it doing something for like religion. And this is just like we're literally even wasting time talking about this because this is like such subjective value judgments, and you spent so little time that you probably weren't even thinking about its value judgment versus a video. But I mean, we are at the level where it's like my personal view on it would just be like at the end of the day, like even though you enjoy doing it, and I understand why you enjoy doing it, and that is an entertaining prompt, it's like the amount of time that you would have saved with ChatGPT, even if it was only 10 minutes at the end of the day, you would have ended up with such a paragraph or such a similar essay at the end that conveyed such similar themes, and like in my opinion you would have been able to juice like 95% of the enjoyment out because the enjoyment really comes from like the deep personal understandings and not really the like autistic like high like need to structure it perfectly. Like the real juice, the real fun doesn't come from like the utility of like sentences. It comes from like the idea that the sentences are trying to paint as a whole, and that can still be achieved with ChatGPT. So even if you enjoyed the 10 minutes expressed perfecting that like opening paragraph to make it as simple as possible, that time is objectively not well spent because you should have spent that time simplifying a religious video prompt instead. But like I said, I'm on like hyper super autistic levels of criticism where it's like, who cares? You enjoy doing it, like whatever, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll definitely do the
Um,
strategy for any further.
any further shit? Okay, well, okay, 10. Call me a 10. Sound good?
All right. Any will you be up by 10?
Yeah, I will be, if not before. Um,
So call
I
me.
really want to. Okay, I will.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. Toodaloo, bye.
See ya.